Thank you, Daniela. It is time for the headliner presented by Miller Lite. Let's bring in World Series champion 1984 Tiger, and of course an all-star as well, and now currently at Fox Sports Detroit, one of the fine analysts on Tigers broadcast, Dan Petry. Dan, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's always good talking to you, Art. Whatever subject it is, whether it be hockey or baseball, but hopefully we'll talk mainly baseball tonight.
You know, I know that your son Jeff, who plays for the Canadians, must be a little bit disappointed. Montreal eliminated, yet I would imagine he might be kind of happy to be out of that bubble environment too.
Yeah, it was a rough losing, is what he had indicated. They felt like they were the better team, and they played Philadelphia very, very hard, and just came up a little bit short. But I think you're right. That bubble situation got opened up a little later for them, where they were able to access the other hotel, and I think the other hotel had more restaurants and some shopping where they were staying. I guess it didn't have a whole lot. So I know that they wish they were still playing. Don't get me wrong there, but hopefully it'll be a nice stepping stone for next year for them.
Well, yeah, certainly. And, I know according to all the Montreal papers, they want Jeff to sign long term with the Canadians. So we'll see where that's at. But I know you're proud of him. I think we're all proud of him. He's one of our own. And, best of luck to him. Let's move on to obviously the Tigers. Really tough weekend. And I heard you on Fox Sports Detroit. That Friday game against the White Sox where they lose and Casey Mize has that 3-0 lead. Although I think that opening walk, I don't know. I thought that was a real marginal ball four on him. I thought they squeezed the rookie a little bit. But how difficult do you think it will now be for the Tigers to refocus? If they've shown anything, they have shown a resiliency. But that weekend series in Chicago, especially that Friday night game, really, really hurts.
Well, I think Gardy has said it best when he says, if you need a reason to be motivated and you're not motivated to go out and play in a Major League Baseball game, then something's wrong with you and you really shouldn't be here. And, a lot of these guys, and I've said it all season long, whether it's, some of the younger guys or the veterans that are on one-year contracts, there's a lot to play for. People are playing for next year, a job next year. They're playing for a contract either in Detroit. I mean, let's just say, for instance, Jonathan Scope. I'm sure he would like to re-sign here, so he's got a lot to play for. Or if Detroit decides to go in a different way, they're still playing for other teams to get signed. So there's certainly still a lot for them to play for. But the Casey Mize game on Friday was a tough one. And I think it really affected him with the 30-minute layoff in between innings, because the Tigers scored 3 runs and he had to sit there for a half an hour. And he got back out there and you could see the velocity drop right away. And, Gardy's smart enough, and Rick Anderson, that, hey, we can't leave him out here. He walked the first hitter, like you said, gave up a hit, and they got him out right away. And just unfortunately that Eloy Jimenez, that guy is just crazy strong, and he hit one out, and Tigers just couldn't come back from it.
Yeah, really. I mean, they have shown a resiliency this year, and it's an encouraging season. I know they're 20-26 now, 5.5 games out of the final wild spot. Pardon me, only a couple of weeks left, but I have been encouraged by this season. I can't say that I haven't. I think they've been entertaining. They found a lot of young ball players. They've had injuries to veteran guys. Guys have stepped up. So in the grand scheme of things, if you're a Tigers fan this year, I think that there's a lot to be encouraged about.
You're right, Art. There is. And recently, they've been blown out on some ugly games, 19-0, 14-0, for examples, but for the most part in this season, they've been very competitive and they've played tough. You kind of look back and say, man, if they didn't have that 9-game losing streak, where would they be? If they could have won just a couple during that time. And then I think at the beginning of the season, the odds makers and all the experts had picked them to be 25-35. So if they can win 5 out of the next 12, they kind of meet those expectations. But look at all the young players that have made their debuts. I think it's 10 now that have made their debut for the Tigers this year. So you're developing a lot of the young players, and now you've got Paredes who's being developed. You've got Derek Hill is up, you've got Alcantara is up, and then Mize and Scooble. So you're trying to win ball games, but at the same time you're trying to give experience to your young players and get them ready for the future. So it's tough, developing that talent and at the same time trying to win games.
I want to ask you about Jamer Candelario, whom
Yeah.
I've always thought. I looked at him. I know when he came from the Cubs, he was pretty good. Then he kind of the last couple of seasons, some injuries and things, but he looks like a ball player to me. I could not understand why isn't he, for lack of a better term, and I'm coming from a fan perspective, why isn't he better? He should be better. Has he arrived, Dan? Do you think that this is a breakout season for him? Because I'm sorry, that guy to me just looks like a ball player.
I mean, he looks like a totally different person. Now, at the beginning of the year, when he started off, in that 0 for 17 slump, I mean, he was overmatched and it looked ugly, like, oh no, what's going to happen here? And he kept working his tail off, and the Tigers kept working very hard with him, and they felt that there was some untapped ability there, and credit both sides on that to get it out of them. A lot of people, Guardian inclusive in this, and the baseball experts always say that you really don't know what you have until you get 1,500 plate appearances. And, Jamer's at about 1,300 right now. And that goes both ways. You can have somebody
Wow.
struggle a little bit and then all of a sudden take off. Or you can have somebody that's really, really good, and then they get to that 1,500 plate appearances and all of a sudden they fall off. So it can be both ways. So, is this the numbers that Jamer's putting up right now? Is he always going to do that? I don't know, but you're probably seeing and look at his confidence too. I mean, he's rooting his teammates on and a lot more vocal, and that's what I love to see. Now, success will breed that. When you're successful, you're
Right.
feeling good, but there's just a lot to like right now. His swing from both sides of the plate, and he was hitless in the series until his last 2 at bats yesterday, so he wasn't panicking. He didn't go, oh boy, here it is, I'm going to come back to reality. No, he just kept staying with it, and ended up getting a couple of hits late in the ball game yesterday.
Right, and we kind of forget he's playing flawless first base too. I mean, he's really which is not his natural position. I know he's played there a little bit over the last few seasons. I guess the Tigers have tried him, but he's doing really, really well. His defense has not suffered moving from third to first.
No, I mean, I certainly think he's a lot more comfortable over at third base. I think he's still learning first base and what balls to go after when they're hit to his right, and certain things like that. Some of the pop-ups that are down between first base and the right fielder. That, but no, he's playing adequately over there. Whether or not they're going to keep him there or move him back to third, I mean, who knows what they're going to do? But he was, and thank goodness he didn't let his defense suffer at third base when he was going through that hitting slump, and so they couldn't take him out of the lineup. They had to play him there because his defense was so good, and then that gave him the time to get it all together at the plate.
Right, good. I want to move to pitching. Let's look at a couple of the veteran guys here that are really counted on. Matthew Boyd really struggling. Looked like that last start against Milwaukee. Obviously, the 19-0 game. Nothing really good there. Is he slowly working his way up, or is it a bit of a mystery what he's going through right now, Dan?
I'm. It's a bit of a mystery, and I have my theories on what's going on, in the Tigers are working on that. But since the second half of last year, he's had some difficulties and given up a lot of home runs. I thought he had kind of solved it there. He had two really strong, or was it three really strong outings in a row, and where he was starting to use his changeup more and have some success. But that last outing against Milwaukee, I made the comment to myself, because we didn't do the game, and I said, man, they look like they know what's coming. And
Right.
I mean, they were just doing every single thing he threw. And I'm sure that's something that they're working on with him. But from start to start, he might be changing an arm angle or something like that. That hitters can maybe pick something up.
Spencer Turnbull, again, supposedly we've heard the best stuff on the team. He's electric, needs to calm himself down. I don't know if it's control. I'm not sure what's going on with him because there are at times this season he looks like a dominant pitcher that the Tigers think that he can develop into. Are you seeing anything in Spencer Turnbull that needs to change?
Well, I think he has changed his last two outings. He's armed with some of the best stuff around, and I think he's now figuring out that he doesn't have to make perfect pitches all the time. And even though he lost yesterday, he really had good stuff. He only walked one and went up against a red hot White Sox lineup. And some days they're going to get to you. So yeah, he gave up 8 hits in 5 innings. But I don't think that's indicative of the next time out. If he just keeps that same game plan and says, hey, I'm not going to go out there and chase strikeouts and try to make a perfect pitch. My stuff's good enough that, I can just, if I stay in that zone and don't hurt myself by walking people, I'm going to get double plays like he got against Milwaukee. He got 3 of them there, so I think he's turning a corner. And, there could be some really nice things. He's only got a couple starts left during the regular season, but he probably has turned a corner here and only is going to get better here on out.
I want to go to Mize and Skubal. Before his last outing, not that Tarek Skubal was terrible his last outing, I was ready to say that he's the MVP of the team this year. The Tigers were to make a long playoff run. But I think the thing that I've learned from a fan perspective, it is very, very difficult, and I know you know this, to be a pitcher at the major league level. I mean, we're seeing 2 very talented guys really going through, the highs and lows of being a major league starter.
Yeah, and I'm still just so glad that they are here. I wish that Matt Manning and Alex Faedo would have stayed healthy. It would be nice if they got just a taste this year of major league action. But basically, because there's no minor league baseball, they're playing inter squad games and live batting practice down in Toledo. And it's very, very tough down there to evaluate or even know how you're progressing. So, in a perfect world, it would have been better for them to play some games in Toledo at the AAA level. But I'm happy that they're up here, but it's very hard to just go right to the fire like they've done. And, everybody just wants instant success, and they're going to have some roller coasters, but they're smart enough. They've got the stuff that if they just stay with it and not try to overthink it and change things, it's always, use what got you here. You don't have to go with what got you here. Don't try to change anything and become something, that you're not, just because you're at the major league level. Just stay with your strengths. And I think that that's what they're doing. And yeah, they're going to have some ups and downs. It'll take a while for them, but this is just so invaluable, this month that they're getting up here in the big leagues.
And unfortunately, we're out of time right now here on the headliner. I give my best. I think you're making a drive for pick the stick. I think that you and Simo are you're not conceding anything to Shep right now, and I'm glad to see that. And
No.
say hi to your buddy on set, your baseball, when next time you see him too. I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah, what was what Tom Hanks in what was the movie where he was
Wilson.
shipwrecked or
Yeah,
Wilson?
yeah.
That's it. See, I got to draw
Wilson,
a face
right,
on Wilson. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
Draw
it.
well, if you draw a face on your baseball on the Fox set, I think they're all going to think you lost your mind. But go right ahead, Dan. You have my permission.
There you go, Art.
All
But no,
right,
you're right.
Dan.
That game is fun, and I'm not conceding anything just yet to Shep.
All right, sounds good, Dan. Always enjoy your work. I loved you as a player. I love you as a buddy. You're a real good man, and continued success on Fox Sports Detroit. We'll have you on Word on Woodward very very soon again. Thanks, Dan.
Hey, right back at you, Art. Thanks for having me.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of the Headliner presented by Miller Lite. It is the original light beer. It tastes delicious. It's only 96 calories, and it is available for delivery. Daniela, you gotta love Peaches. He's one of the best.